So bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to...
Shh. Hello and welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. Before I start my podcast today, I want to give everybody a customer alert here. Now, when we listen to podcasts, we all do it in different ways. Some of us, we like to sit down in a nice comfy chair, put our headsets on and listen. Some people might be working out, going for a walk or a run. Some people might be driving. Some people might even be laying down on their bed saying, okay, I'm going to listen to one more podcast before I go to sleep. Well, here's my alert. If you're sitting down, buckle up. If you are walking or running, expect that your intensity level is going to increase, so be careful. If you are driving, either turn the podcast off or pull over. If you are thinking about maybe listening to one more before you go to sleep, don't. Turn us off, because by the time you get done, your heart's going to be racing so much that you will not go to sleep immediately. It's like going to having a whole pot of coffee before you go to bed. I say that because my guest, welcome Adam Homme.
Roger, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. And so this guy, I'm going to promise you, I've already warned the engineer in the podcast studio that the equipment might get overly energized, because Adam brings it every time that I talk with Adam. This guy has more energy than all of us put together. So with that being said, let's get started. I'm going to read off Adam's bio real quickly, but then I'm going to give Adam a chance to really a little bit later talk about himself here a little bit. But Adam is a speaker, author, trainer, and consultant with nearly 20 years experience helping business creators like you win at the game of business and marketing, so you can thrive from your intersection of your brilliance and your passion while making a difference for your community, market, and audience. Adam is the author of Groundhog Day, is an event, not a business strategy. This book has been moved up to probably my top 3 ever of business books. Great job there, Adam. This is the best book for anybody who is thinking about being in business or is in business. Now, the other thing about Adam is he's got a very, very long-standing podcast that I think you said is about 7.5 years old, right?
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, give or take. So to me, that just tells you everything on what this guy can do. But he's also the creator of the Reach system, which helps you reach more profitable customers. Now, really what all this means, and that's quite a bio, so congratulations on that, Adam. But what this means is that Adam can help you grow your business, which means he's well known in the world of marketing. And so what does marketing do? It gets your voice heard in front of potential customers. Now, I've got a quick story that I want to share that I don't want you to make the same mistake that I did. Back when I was in college, I got an opportunity to go watch the batting practice for the Major League Baseball All-Star game back in the late 70s. They came to Seattle and they were going to play at the Kingdome. And before they really started the hoorah of the day before with the home run derby and all that kind of stuff, it used to just be a low-key day where all the players showed up. They took batting practice, they signed some autographs, some people got to catch some home run balls, and then you left. So I got up nice and early, and I rushed down to the stadium because I'm going to get out there in the outfield. I'm going to get the best seat, and I'm going to catch me a home run ball by some of my favorite players. Well, I get there, my heart's pounding, I'm excited as heck. I get there, and there's not an empty seat in the stadium. The whole outfield is packed. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there goes my whole chance of catching a foul ball or a home run ball. So I look over where the guys are behind home plate, and I'm thinking, there's 100 million open seats. So I'm going to go down there. If I can't catch a home run ball, I'm at least going to go down and be very, very close to my favorite players. So I get down there, and I'm sitting first row right behind home plate. I mean, I can touch every player that's standing in line waiting for his chance at the batting cage. All of a sudden, this old guy shows up and he sits down right next to me and he wants to talk. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I want to talk to these guys. I get a chance to talk with everybody standing on the on-deck circle, and this old guy wants to talk to me. So after about 3 or 4 of the better baseball, the hitters take their bat, like Ron Say and Steve Garvey and Dave Winfield, the pitcher, Gaylord Perry, shows up in his canary yellow San Diego Padres uniform, and he's going to go take batting practice. So I'm thinking, if there's ever a time that I'm going to talk to the old guy standing or sitting next to me, is now. So I turn around, I make eye contact with him to let him know that I'm here to have a conversation. And it's Danny Kaye, the actor.
Wow.
I'm thinking, okay, I don't care about the guys in the uniforms on the field anymore. I'm sitting down next to Danny frickin' Kaye. And this guy, at the time, he was one of the part owners of the Seattle Mariner baseball team. This guy knew everything about baseball from probably the first game ever played to now. He knew every stat. I mean, it was probably the most enjoyable 2-3 hours that I've ever had at a baseball stadium, because I'm sitting down next to Danny frickin' Kaye. But if it wasn't because of just Gaylord Perry in his canary yellow San Diego Padres baseball uniform going up to bat, I would have never taken the time to listen to Danny Kaye. And I know that happens a lot with marketing. You got to have the right message to the right people that's going to make them turn their heads and say, yes, I'm going to talk to Danny frickin' Kaye. Would you agree with that, Adam?
Dollars and cents, man.
Yep. All right. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So Adam, before we get started, why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about you that I didn't share with the bio that I gave?
Well, thank you very much, Roger. And I guess what I like to tell people is I have discovered that among the valuable lessons of my life is that there's no such thing as the truth. Oh, wait, what? Yeah, there's no such thing as the truth. There are facts that can be statistically, empirically, scientifically, and otherwise verified. Truth is designed by how we view those facts through the lens of our experience, our education, our background, our worldview. This is why we have debates. This is why we find ourselves in places where we know that we're not living or doing according to what we feel is authentic for ourselves, yet we don't quite understand exactly what the expectation is being placed upon us by society, by an authority figure, or any other entity that, in our experience, either consciously or subconsciously, seems to subjugate us from living truly from the intersection of our brilliance and our passion and making a difference for our community, market, and audience. That's been the theme of my writings. It's been the theme of my business. And when I put that together several years ago, I got the same gasps 7 years ago that I get today when I say that. And I believe it's just as factual or truthful to me as it was then. So what I invite all of our listeners today, I invite all of you to take a moment and give yourself the gift of allowing for the possibility that something profound may emerge in the next few minutes that could be a game changer for you, either in a massive way or maybe in a micro way. But allow for the possibility that things will be different than they've been up until now.
I love it. And just to kind of give you an idea of really what Adam's talking about, I facilitate this monthly book club, executive book club. And last month we read the book that Adam wrote, Groundhog Day. It's an event, not a business strategy.
Correct.
And we had probably 15 to 20 of the regulars show up to join us, and Adam joined us as well. So we got a chance to meet Adam, give our feedback to the book, and just ask Adam some questions. And in the book, and then Adam's talking about, that sometimes you just don't want to just always just mess around to the nth degree of every little detail. And he made a point about it because someone asked him a question. It's written in his book. So probably 2 or 3 days later, one of my clients is in the book club, and she wanted me to edit something that she was sending out in an email. So I did my thing. I took 2 seconds to edit it, and I found 2 little typos. No big deal. I didn't think twice about it. I let her know that go ahead and fix these 2 little typos. She sent back an email saying, Adam would have let me got it.
Yeah. You're referring to White Line Fever, Roger. That's actually the very first segment when we get into the main part of the spring formula that's contained within that book.
Yeah.
What it refers to is our eyes are conditioned through their relationship with the brain to eventually see on the screen, on the page, in the book, what we expect to see. That's how typos happen. This is how you can have a website that gets 1 million visitors per year, have a big banner up at the top of the page where the word to was misspelled. It was reversed. It was spelled OT. And a year go by before somebody noticed that. The way the phrase within that banner was designed, the brain expects to see the word to, so it puts the word to in there.
Yep.
So I love the fact that there's a writer and editor relationship that you're referring to here. One of my recommendations is the person who does the editing should be in no way involved with the creation or the writing or the design if it's graphic, simply because they, as the creators, will see what they're looking for in the page. The editor, who will not have been involved up until then, will be approaching it with a blank slate, which increases the chance that the word to misspelled might jump out at them.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't realize that once I became a friend and a colleague of yours, Adam, that I was now going to have to be, every time I give out some advice, they're going to say, well, Adam wouldn't do it that way. So thanks a lot for that. So anyway, let's get back to you and why you're here on my podcast. And thank you for that great information here.
Sure.
So Adam, what was your tipping point to really, that led you to where you are today?
There are so many of them, but let's focus on something relatively recent. Right around the year 2014, I found myself in a place where I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I'd been an entrepreneur for over 10 years already. I'd gone through 3 iterations of my business. I had clients, I had revenues, I had all the stuff that would indicate that I was on my way to success. In fact, that was right around the time that my business had what up until then had been its most successful revenue year ever. And then I looked into the future and I saw that all I could see was a blank screen. I couldn't imagine my future. I gave myself radical permission to sit with the fact that I needed to go through a process of figuring out what I needed to be or wanted to be when I grew up. It took almost 3 years. My only marketing activity during those 3 years was hosting my podcast, the Business Creators Radio Show, which gave me a lot of opportunities for new business, new connections, new opportunities, and new explorations. Finally, around 2016, summer of 2016, I started every day posting on social media about something that either motivated me, inspired me, or was something that would grind my gears. And somebody said that they love stopping by my page every morning to get the morning Adam. Thinking, okay, well, actually they called it the Daily Adam. So when we went and did a search for brands and domains and such, we found out there were already several Daily Adams out there. We decided to go with the Morning Adam. There were other Morning Adams out there, but none of them really seemed to be active. I made a commitment to myself for 90 days that once per day, I was going to post to that blog, something that motivated me, inspired me, or was something that would grind my gears. It didn't have to initiate as a blog post. It could be something I put on social media and then transposed over. It could be a recording of a conversation I had transcribed and edited into a blog post, or it could be a fresh blog post. There was no specific audience avatar. There was no conversion goal. There was no funnel or anything like that. It was simply to allow me a canvas to get out what I needed to say. After 90 days, I logged back into that WordPress website for that very simple blog, and I assigned the posts into categories. Categories became chapters, and chapters became the spring formula located inside Groundhog Day as an event, not a business strategy. So in finding what I wanted to be when I grew up, finding what my path was going to be, finding what my launching pad was going to be to develop additional brands and additional ways of serving from my intersection of my brilliance and my passion and making a difference for my community, market, and audience, it started with me giving myself radical permission to just not know the answer, but be open to the natural exploration process of discovering it.
I love it. And I've heard that you've been called for your clients the secret weapon. What does that mean?
Basically, I'm the guy in the background. I think there's a few ways you can define that. I have a handful of private consulting clients. In fact, you know two of them. One of them introduced us, and another one is somebody who I know you're going to be actually interfacing with very soon with your book club. I am sort of, and in those types of clients, I sort of assume the role of the gray eminence, if you're familiar with the term gray eminence, where I have this ability to be inside an organization, at the same time be somewhat on the outside looking in. Let me tell you, your audience, a little bit of something about the value of coaching and consulting. So, Roger, you probably yourself have gone through some experiences in your life where you had a business challenge, you had something you were trying to work through, and it felt like you were in the tunnel and all you could see was this little pin drop of a light way at the end. Coach is standing outside the tunnel looking in. They're in the light, and they see you slowly chugging toward the entrance. So because the light shines into the tunnel, they can see things in the tunnel that you cannot see because you're blinded by the light. This is why I recommend for everybody, even if you are the world's expert at something, you can still have a coach who can make you better at it. In fact, candidly, I work with my business coach to get help and solutions for things that normally I get paid to do for others, but I need that somebody on the outside looking in to help me see the things outside of my own tunnel. So we all work together. We're symbiotic. We're like puzzle pieces, and we all play multiple roles when we allow ourselves to, depending on the situation and the circumstance. Be open to that, and you will find a world of abundance.
Now, I love that you brought that up about that even the coaches need their own coach.
Yep.
You have any statistic that says that, right now we know that 80%, 82% of all small businesses fail within the first 2 to 4 years. Do you believe that 18% that is succeeding, they probably have a coach somewhere in their arsenal?
I don't have any statistics, but I'm going to bet 100% that they all do.
Okay.
Because I went for the first few years without any coaching at all, and I was in a place of slow to no growth. Finally, I realized the importance of accelerating and the importance of masterminding, coaching, having somebody who can be my sounding board, somebody who can give me the tough love that I need every once in a while. And we all need that.
Absolutely.
And I can give and receive when it comes to tough love. Perfect.
Okay, so now we know that you're the secret weapon in everybody's arsenal that's winning the game at business. So what has having your own podcast and writing that book, Groundhog Day, what has that done for your business?
Well, let's start with the book. Groundhog Day is an event, not a business strategy. So This has gotten me several clients simply because they saw that I was an author. And the way I designed this book, it's not heavy on statistics. It's actually very heavy on stories, as you know from having read it. All this stuff actually happened either exactly as I describe it or just modified enough to protect the innocent, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
All the characters there's a series of characters in it. They all have fictional names, but they're all based on either people I know or amalgamations of several people I know to create a coherent story. The best testimonial that I ever got for this book, unfortunately, it's not on Amazon because he didn't post it on Amazon before he passed. My dear friend Trevor Swales, who passed from us last year, that I knew from the Las Vegas Cigar Society, told me that he was sitting out on his deck one morning after he purchased my book at the book signing we did in Las Vegas when we did the launch. He was sitting out there on his deck. He had his cigar. It was a nice Las Vegas day. He read about 20 pages into the book and he couldn't stop laughing because he could hear my voice and it sounded exactly like I spoke. That was the reason I did the book, is to give people the opportunity to see me authentically. I've gotten a little bit of criticism about the book, candidly, and that's perfectly okay because not everybody is for everybody. As far as the podcast, going back to what I said earlier, There was that 3-year period where I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. The only marketing I did for 3 years was every week host another episode of the Business Creators Radio Show. The only thing my list heard from me for 3 years was, hey, there's another episode up. But the joy of having the opportunity to make 52 great new connections every year, to have the opportunity to explore business partnerships, to get bookings on stages, to book people, to get clients, to, in some cases, become a client, while not having to necessarily make any public commitments at all. I had the chance to try this, see how I liked it, try that, see how I liked it. And it allowed me the space that I could continue to generate revenue for the business and build powerful connections, even though, candidly, I didn't know where to drive the car. I knew I had an entity called the Business Creators Institute. Its website had already gone out of date because I didn't know what to write. So after we figured that out, we literally and then we actually did this about a year ago, went to businesscreatorsinstitute.com and just deleted it. Right in the middle of the day, I was looking at, okay, we can update the WordPress theme. I know we're changing the fonts for the logo, and I see this text is here. Maybe we keep this. And then I logged into cPanel, went to File Manager, hit delete on the whole damn thing. Nothing like a blank slate in times to open up your creativity. Another thing I cover inside Groundhog Day is Invent Not a Business Strategy is the importance of never letting a good crisis go to waste. To paraphrase Rahm Emanuel, it gives you the opportunity to do things you never thought were possible before. There's a reason why clouds have a silver lining. The silver lining is a precious metal. Mine it, invest in it, enjoy it. Because right before the breakthrough usually comes the breakdown.
And I read books just like you do all the time. And a lot of books on business, professional development, leadership, management skills, they sometimes I have a hard time having it resonate with me personally. But I have to tell you, your buddy that you're talking about that stopped reading after 20 pages because he's laughing so hard.
Oh, he didn't stop reading. He read through the laughter. I'm just saying he laughed uncontrollably.
Yeah, your stories, your specific examples, they resonate with all of us because every one of your stories, we've all lived through them ourselves somehow, some way. Like that damn iced tea. I mean, really, there's been times where you just want to sit there and think, okay, am I at the DMV? Am I getting treated that way over a damn glass of iced tea? But I just love that. So in your book, obviously in the title itself, you reference a groundhog. Tell us why.
I had already developed the content through the Morning Atom Project and also through a series of blog posts that had been on a previous iteration of the Business Creators Institute website. So I had the general idea of what I wanted the book to be about. I'd already taken the titles of the blog posts with the URLs of them and generated a text document to put them in an approximate order based on the chapters I'd identified. I was having a coaching call with my business coach, and I made the offhand comment that we were discussing the book, and I made the offhand comment that I believe that the audience for this are entrepreneurs and small business owners who feel like no matter what they do in their business, no matter what they launch, no matter what opportunities they get, no matter what media exposure they get, no matter what explosions of growth, that by the time the dust settles, they find themselves at the exact same plateau of revenues and profits or lack thereof, as if they had never done anything. And to them, it must feel like that movie Groundhog Day, except from hell. And at that point, he nailed it. Groundhog Day is an event, not a business strategy. Originally, he wanted to call it marketing strategy, but I didn't want it to be a marketing book. I wanted to be more of an entrepreneurial mindset, organizational behavior, and influence book. So we changed marketing to business, and there you have it.
I love it. And if you want to know really what Adam was referring to earlier, exactly how he's talking now is exactly how that book is written from start to finish. In that book, and you've already mentioned it a couple of times, your spring formula. Give us an idea of really what that means.
Well, the spring formula is what you use when you're ready to finally solve those pesky issues that keep holding back your business success and never seem to go away. So the spring formula SPRING is an acronym. So you have S, which is science of the mindset. So we get into mindsets, how we deal with the past, how we look toward the future. Prospect attraction, priceless insights on how to move prospects to become your purchasers. Then we deal with ripple effects within the organization and from team members and how to avoid it. To quote Sir Richard Branson, or to paraphrase Sir Richard Branson, in order to develop effective customer service, you must treat your employees well. It has a ripple effect. So we go through case after case after case where focusing on how you treat your employees, your virtual team members, the people who contract for you, will have a direct ripple effect on your company's ability to serve its customers and serve them well. Then we have identify and intake new customers. And the gist of this one is, just because somebody gave you money doesn't mean they're a customer. When they give you the money, they become a purchaser. There's a journey you take them through to become a customer, and that's what the I is about. N is name your terms with powerful language, and this gives you numerous examples of how to use basic neurolinguistic programming principles to subtly alter your language and build bridges. I'm going to give you an example in just 1 second. Let me just cover the G. The G is greater efficiency and service through minimalism. My cat was ready to knock my book off the table there. Sorry about that. So that's about applying minimalism and essentialism to achieve maximum results. So let me just give you one example from the N, name your terms with powerful language, and I call it the I agree principle. How many times do we're having conversations with people, we're trying to persuade them, and we state our point of view, and they say, now, wouldn't you agree? And then you get that one person in the audience that says, no, I don't agree. Oh, now what? Or you get the people who 90% agree with you, but they're going to just drill on that 10% where you are wrong. So instead of saying, wouldn't you agree, I state my agreement with the idea up front. So I'll say, I agree that reading business books on a regular basis is a powerful way to expand your toolkit and make you a more effective entrepreneur. I agree with that statement. You can also agree with that statement, even if you also agree that you'd rather listen to DVDs, or actually watch DVDs, or stream videos or stream audios. So you can agree that books are an effective way without it negating that streaming videos is also an effective way. Whereas if I were to say, books are it, don't you agree? You'd say, oh, no, streaming video all the way. So by simply switching from would you agree to I agree, I'm simply stating my agreement up front. You don't have to join me, but I'm giving you the opportunity to join us in agreeing that something could be factual or could be true.
I love it.
So we're replacing conflict with dialogue.
Yep. And that's what we all need, especially when we're dealing with people, which is either our employees or our customers. Okay, so now we've laid the groundwork for really your whole foundation, your mindset of what you do. Now, take us through an example of what the process looks like with a client when you're working with them.
Candidly, every client is bespoke. We very rarely actually take a new client into the Business Creators Institute. In order to get into the Business Creators Institute, we have to have worked together in some other way, whether it's through a project or whether it's through the REACH system. So to answer your question, let me explain to you the REACH system. That is a relatively new brand, but it's based on work we've actually been doing for about 3 years, where we work with entrepreneurs and small business owners to quickly launch their business building podcast as their number one networking and client attraction branding tool. So working with us, typically the way in is to join the podcast REACH system at the VIP level and work with us to launch your podcast. We also have services for people who want to be guests on podcasts and services for people who host podcasts and are looking for further support with that. So that's actually the doorway in at this time. But that answers hopefully the question of what does it look like to work with us. Now, once we get something like that going, like having your podcast launched will inevitably open opportunities, because the reach system isn't just about launching a podcast and editing and formatting and getting it on iTunes and all that. Even though it's not called iTunes, it's called Apple Podcasts, which I correct people on all the time. Now, having that client attraction and networking tool, you start to find new opportunities as you make new connections by interviewing guests. And as a show host, you'll soon find yourself guesting on more shows, because it's kind of funny that having your own show increases the chance that other shows will want to interview you for a number of reasons. I'll name just one: the idea that you can exchange reciprocity and maximize your own investment in this form of marketing. So start by launching your podcast, and then we see where it goes. The Business Creators Institute can render a number of solutions related to the Spring formula, which you see on the back of the book, and also on our website at www.businesscreatorsinstitute.com. But the starting point is in new media.
I love it. I love it. Now, anytime you're dealing with a customer, client, whatever you want to call this individual, there's always going to be an obstacle or two that we have to face and overcome. Give me an idea of what an obstacle might look like working with you.
An obstacle working with me?
Yep.
Let's see. I don't know that I have a lot of obstacles. I can tell you that I intentionally create a yin-yang effect to create balance, and that is sometimes an adjustment that people need to go through as we begin really working together. So let's say, Roger, that you were having a really exhilarant reaction to an idea. You were so excited, and you were again quoting Sir Richard Branson and saying, "Hey, I had this idea this morning while I was in the shower. Screw it, let's do it." I'm going to come to you with gloom and doom, because I want to balance out that conversation and make sure we're moving forward for the right reasons. Now, if you came to me saying, "Oh, there's no way we could possibly do this. The audience will hate it. We don't have the ability. We don't have the skills. We don't have the competencies," I'm going to argue, screw it, let's do it. So I take the yin to the yang and the yang to the yin to develop a balance that leads to all elements of the discussion being considered so that you can make a better decision. That is something that I sometimes, for a while at least, have to explain to my clients that I'm doing it when I'm doing it, so they don't think I'm being argumentative, even though I'm really just a giant teddy bear.
You know, and like I said, you're very practical at everything you do. So in closing here, Adam, what final words of encouragement will you give to the listeners to really think about taking some of those necessary steps forward to get themselves more seen?
As I mentioned when I appeared on your book club last month, great book club, by the way, and if somebody is interested in getting involved with an entrepreneurial book club, they should definitely contact you. I'll give you that little plug there, and I stand by it wholeheartedly. I had people comment that the Groundhog book may be a little bit long, because when you count the bonus chapter, it comes out to a little over 300 pages. When I originally designed the book, I was doing it in an 8.5 by 11 Word document with the standard Calibri font size that's come default with Microsoft Word. When I switched the pages to 6:9 with the margins that were going to be needed for printing, I worked in the table of contents, and I changed the fonts, the headers, and the subheaders to the sizes we're actually going to use for publication. The thing swelled out to almost 500 pages. So there are a lot of stories that didn't make it. And as I think I mentioned during your book club meeting, we probably have one or two more of these in us whenever it fits into our plan. So I'm going to tell you right now, one of the things that unfortunately just for space issues didn't quite make the cut, but I say this all the time. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation. I personally do. I don't know if it's like a literal metamorphosis. You go into another world, become something, and then get dropped back off as that other thing. But I believe that spirits tend to pass over multiple lifetimes. It's why a lot of us seem to have visions of the past that recur in their dreams and sometimes occur in their conscious daydreams. So I believe in it. Whether you believe in it or not, there's one thing that we can all look at and see as factual. You don't know what you were in your past life. And you have no index for what you would be in your next life. That's if you believe in reincarnation. So even if you do, just remember, you only get to do this one once. So make the most of it.
That is great, great advice coming from a great guy. Adam, I can't thank you enough. Now, I'm sure that just because you have that magnetic kind of personality and content, how can someone get a hold of you to just see about your services?
Well, this is something else I cover in the Groundhog book, if you'll allow me a plug for myself, since I hooked you up on the book club.
Absolutely.
In the G chapter, we cover the importance of using online schedulers as a way of bringing people together. You and I have had several conversations, and they all initiate with one of us or the other hopping on the other person's schedule and booking ourselves in. It's a great system. I believe it's a great unifier that brings people together. So I practice what I preach. And I also say that I don't give out my cell phone number. You can't text with me, but I'm actually one of the most accessible entrepreneurs out there. And the reason why is because you can go to www.schedulewithadam.com. That's www.schedulewithadam.com and book a time for me. We have 15-minute and 30-minute options. The form will ask you what category you want to discuss and give you a field so that you can tell me what you want to discuss. You don't have to check with my office. You don't have to ask me, when can you talk? I don't know when I don't know. I invest $140 a month in technology, so I don't have to answer that question. The fact is, anybody can come to schedulewithadam.com and book themselves in. And I invite you to do so if there's something in what you discovered today that raised your curiosity, got you thinking about what you can do to make this the year that you surface the rich soil from the burrow and use it to make the grass greener on your side of the fence. So one more time, www.schedulewithadam.com. And if you want to go ahead and the comments on that field, and you want to mention that Roger Sargent sent you, then I'll know you came from this show.
Thank you very much. And thank you again for being my guest speaker today.
Thank you.
The Everyone Has a Story podcast is very honored and humbled to acknowledge the following sponsors. Thank you all for your loyalty and faith in the content. I want to really thank Dave and Dara Feldman at Virtues Matter, the most positive and grateful husband and wife team that helps individuals bring out the best in themselves and others with workshops, retreats, consulting, and the Virtues Card app. Maury Zelkovich at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer helping people with stress, anxiety, and so much more. Priya Kumar at Results Coaching, the executive transformation coach providing business financial intelligence that really helps flip that switch on their profit. Jennifer and Gene Sievers at the Sievers Real Estate Team, the husband and wife team serving Pierce and Kitsap County residents with their home buying and selling needs. Eric and his superhero team at Ivy Cat Web Designs, no doubt the real superheroes of web development and design. Stephen Buller at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers in his own unique way. Rebecca Howell at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. And Tim and Sadie Marlowe at BD Local Podcast Studio for the use of their studio and their expertise with the necessary production and editing to make this podcast happen.